The pathing where I kind of turned right and bumped into the last and then turned left. That's something that you can do in order to play cleaner, especially when you're a newer player. The following run you're about to see was played at 4 times game speed, complete with my analysis and commentary. Hey everybody, what's up? This is David, aka Zealous Pawn. I got another fun one for you today. Today is Blastoise, and we're going to be playing a solo speed run. This is going to be as quick as I could play it back when I played it in June. This is the oldest video that I've decided to go back and re-record, but this was a really fun one. This one, I'm going to use the same rule set as usual, only the starter in battle, no items in battle, no major glitches, and no like double team or anything like that, no evasion moves to boost evasion. It's more fun that way. As far as the goal for this playthrough, this was a fun one. I decided to go through and play with no saves. So that means I'm not going to save a single time. I'm going to have to beat every gym leader. If I lose in the Elite Four, I'm going back to Pallet Town. So actually, I'm not going to save. So not only is the goal for 0 resets, but the goal is for 0 saves in this playthrough. Well, if you want 0 resets and you think the Pokemon can do it, you may as well save 0 times and see if you can just sweep the game with it. So this is almost a Nuzlocke. I'm even like under the level cap. It's almost a solo Nuzlocke in Pokemon Yellow. And Blastoise is uniquely equipped to do it with a lot of hit points, a lot of defense, a good special defense as well, like a unified special stat, which is pretty workable. It's not a huge special like you might expect. I don't know, for some reason in my head, maybe it's like the giant cannons. I kind of just thought that it had a monstrous special attack. But compared to some other Pokemon, like ones that you might not even think about, like Tentacruel, or even like a Starmie, lots of Pokemon have higher special than Blastoise. What makes Blastoise really good is it's in the medium-slow level up group, and its stats are all just very good. There's no bad stats that Blastoise has. He's quite a balanced attacker. His physical attack is good. His HP is very good. His defense is good. His special is good. No weaknesses in this Pokemon. Even the speed, even though it's a turtle and you think it's really slow, we're going to be outspeeding most of the opponents with little difficulty throughout this playthrough. And we have a badge boosting move in Withdrawal, which we get later by level up, which is going to help us solve some speed problems as well. So speed's only going to come back to potentially bite us in a couple spots, and I'll definitely call those out as they happen. I think I'll just note quickly that we are going to fight Brock on minimum battles, so we're going to have a very quick Brock split. I think once we get past Brock, we'll go ahead and talk about general strategy for the rest of the playthrough, what sort of things we have in store for Blastoise. Some of you may be concerned hearing that it's almost a Nuzlocke, that I'm going to spend a lot of time grinding. That is not the case. This is a speed run. I'm trying to go as fast as I can, and this is going to be an S tier finish. I guess we need to define what counts as S tier or not, but as we see Brock go down in a mere 2 minutes and 39 seconds, we are not really going to be slowing down in this playthrough ever. We're going to go fast the entire way, and we're going to go under 40 minutes in this playthrough, and hopefully significantly under 40 minutes. I will let you discover how fast it actually happens when we get there. But let's look at the leveling plan. So first of all, and by the way, I've made some little tweaks and changes to this little overlay and the overview. Big shout out to Scott's Thoughts, who I'm a big fan of his channel, and I'm using his overlay for the left part, but I've added some of the things with my own flavor, and I'm really expanding this area for the moveset so we can talk about what the plans are as we get through this kind of vanilla next section of the game. You can see that I'm going to be using 6 rare candies right in front of Erica. You might think that's a weird choice. I know she's a grass type gym leader, but we have Ice Beam, so you might not think she's a problem. But as I mentioned, Blastoise actually doesn't have quite as high of a special as you might think it does. So we are not going to get 1-hits on the Pokemon until like around level 43, something like that. And then the experience just worked out so that we want that extra couple levels for Koga. And instead of like fighting a couple trainers and then teaching a couple more rare candies, it makes sense to just do them all together in one chunk. Because you can't always get the experience to line up perfectly unless you take on more optionals. And we're going to take on precious few optional trainers in this whole run through. I'll bring up the second part. The second part of the run, you can see that we are fighting the champion at level 59. That is quite a low level. It's not the lowest level, but you get most of these levels just off of near minimum battles and rare candies that you pick up along the way. Okay, enough with the run summary for now. Let's get back into the playthrough. And what comes up next? Well, next, before we fight Nugget Bridge, we have the choice. Do we go fight the rival, or do we go fight Misty? And with Blastoise, just like many of the other water-type Pokemon, we want Bubble Beam for Nugget Bridge. That's going to speed up that section of the game with lots of optional or lots of mandatory trainers that we have to fight through. It's going to speed up to get a lot more one hits going for Bubble Beam instead of Water Gun. So we're going to just kind of fight our way through Misty, even though it's tougher. There is some risk in this playthrough. However, Blastoise is favored in every single fight throughout this whole run. Now, you might think that makes it easy to get a zero reset playthrough. It's not the case. If you ever used an 80% accurate move, for instance, or let's take an 85% accurate move in Mega Punch. 85% accurate is pretty good if you have to hit once. But what happens when you need to hit Mega Punch 8 times in a row? What does that look like? How accurate is it when you have to hit 8 times in a row? Well, that's kind of what we're doing if you zoom out and look at our playthrough for Blastoise as a whole, throughout this whole playthrough. We have lots of trainer fights that were favored, even heavily favored to win. In some cases, 90% favored, in some places, 70 or 80% favored to win. We have to get all of those in order to win. So it did take me a number of attempts to get through here, even with what I think was pretty safe, pretty strong strategies throughout the playthrough. It still took several attempts to get one without a save. So the strategy against Misty is going to be pretty simple. We're going to Mega Punch our way through. I do wonder, looking back on this, would it have been better to teach Bide, just in case we need it, like say over the bubble spot? So this Starmie in yellow likes to set up with Harden against water types, because it's going to randomize between Harden and between Tackle. Now in red and blue, it would only spam Tackle, and Bide would definitely be faster in that case. Here, this was pretty fast, and of course, if you get a crit, then it's even faster. So I think you could probably do it either way. Hard to say whether it'd be easier to go Mega Punch or better or faster to go Bide. But in this case, I chose to hold on to Bide, and yeah, they each have their merit, so I think that's okay. By the way, if you've seen another one of my videos or talked to me before, sometimes I might even come across as a little bit boastful, unfortunately. But I'll say things like, I think this is the fastest that X has ever been done. I have a Nidoking run and I have a Hitmonlee run that come to the top of my mind that I think those are probably the fastest anyone's ever run those. This Blastoise, I know that it is not the fastest that anyone's ever run it. However, it is very close. It's like a pretty comparable run to Redriosi's run, who's a very strong solo runner and relatively recently ran this. So I think this is maybe not a perfect playthrough. Obviously, none of them are perfect. It's not even the best playthrough that you could potentially see for Blastoise, like humanly possible. You could definitely do better. You know, maybe 30 seconds faster, maybe a minute or two faster. 2 minutes is pushing it. But certainly you could do better than this, but I think this is representative of what a very strong Blastoise run looks like, even though it's one that I ran going on, 6-7 months ago now. If I didn't think it held up, I wouldn't have turned it into a produced video. One thing you might also notice is that I ran this in RetroArch rather than Super Shucky. Big shout out to Snowy for Super Shucky. It's amazing for running these old games, but that's why you see the little arrows in the top right. This is an older playthrough using RetroArch, and I'm not sure how to edit that out. I don't think I can, because I was actually screen recording this one. I had to do a little bit more behind the scenes to get this optically to work out than I did with my other runs, because I had those as a replay file. This one, not to get too into the weeds, but this one was just capturing my screen as I played through, and I was recording lots and lots of footage, just grinding Blastoise over and over again, hoping that I would get a good result while I was recording the footage. So I don't have a replay file for this one. I just have the actual footage of my playthrough. So let's check in and see where we're at here. Blastoise is actually smashing everything. Typically, I'll talk through the fights a little bit more, but in this case, there's not a lot to say. Bubble Beam one-hits almost everything. The things that it doesn't one-hit, I'm switching to Water Gun to two-hit with a lot of times, or sometimes even one-hitting with Water Gun, or Bubble, like I can in the case of these rock ground types. The reason for that is I'm just trying to conserve my PP a bit on Bubble Beam. I don't want to go back to the center. Every time you can skip a center heal, you save about 5 seconds or so. And even more so than that at this particular center, because this one near Misty's gym, you have to hop over a ramp and then you have to walk all the way back around. So I think it's probably closer to 10 seconds that you save if you can skip this one. So you'll see me instead pick up this ether. There's a little hidden ether next to the last there in the gym, and you can see me just spam A through that dialogue. Importantly, I have Bubble Beam at the top, so I replenished the PP up to 14, and now I know I have enough to get to the SSN and Body Slam. While I was criticizing my play and I missed a door there, God, it's awful when you miss the double doors. Like, I kind of forgive myself for missing the single doors. But when there's a double door and I miss the double door, I feel awful about that. You are not a wizard, David. You missed the double door. It's so bad. Anyway, once I finally got through the door there, let me go back to my original point, which was I'm not sure about this choice to pick up Body Slam. This is probably the biggest change I would make if I was to reroute and rerun this Pokemon, is I think I would eliminate the Body Slam TM from the playthrough, fighting this junior trainer to get it on the SSN. I don't think Blastoise needs it. And in fact, if you happen to see Scott's thoughts video with War Turtle and the different starters, I was lucky enough to help optimize those, and Scott asked for help in the Discord, and he gave me a number of shout outs in that video, which I'm very appreciative of. I thought that was quite cool to see myself in those videos. You'll notice that War Turtle was not running Body Slam at all, skipping that TM and using only Dig and Bubble Beam. That actually gives you all the coverage that you need. There's nothing you need Body Slam for, because Dig gives you the coverage you need for neutral damage against the grass poison types in the early game. You actually don't need Body Slam. And I figured that out with War Turtle, which I ran a couple months after this one. Going back, I think you could port back that same logic and just skip it for Blastoise as well. So here's that fight that I've been bemoaning that I took. But all said and done, the fight is relatively quick. I mean, it's probably a 15-second time bleed. 15 seconds isn't much in the context of running, like, you know, some bad first stage Pokemon. But 15 seconds actually does hurt a little bit in the context of a really good S-tier type Pokemon like a Blastoise. You see, too, just a small thing, but at the pathing where it kind of turned right and bumped into the last and then turned left, that's something that you can do in order to play cleaner, especially when you're a newer player. That was kind of a crutch for me for a while, was bumping into stuff to make sure that I'm staying on track and making sure I'm not accidentally bumping into trainers, because you waste a lot of time when you bump into trainers that you don't want to fight. That said, you can shave little tiny bits of time here and there by just moving well. Who would have known moving well is important as speedrun? But it is. It really is important. And I think that it's a non-negligible amount of time that you save. By the way, there was nothing worth talking about at that rival. But there is something relevant to talk about with Surge. Surge is an electric specialist, hypothetically, when he chooses the 1 out of 4 times to use Thunderbolt. So what do the damage ranges look like? Well, actually, Blastoise, thankfully, can tank a Thunderbolt, but not much else. So that brings up the question, okay, are we faster? No, we are not faster. Raichu's going to get a chance to hit. So if it crits a Thunderbolt, it will knock us out. And then the second question is, well, can we knock out the Raichu in one hit so it doesn't get a second hit off? The answer is sometimes. We have a pretty nice percentage chance, a 69% chance to one hit with Dig. So sometimes it'll live on a sliver and get 2 chances to attack us, in which case a Thunderbolt and any other damaging move would do it. In this case, Raichu fails a Growl and then Mega Kicks, and even if it was a crit, it wouldn't matter. Surge down, no problem this time. Although that is one of those chances that you have to lose. You know, we talked earlier about, okay, how many bullets do you have to dodge, right? How many times is there a chance for the AI to beat you? And that's a chance. I mean, I think maybe you have a 90% chance to win. But 10% of the time, you miss Hyper Beam, right? So if 10% of the time Surge beats us, that's just one more place where this point can fail. And as good as Blastoise is, there are lots of failure points that we're going to have to dodge. That said, if you look at the pace that we're setting, skipping all the saves does save some time. If you save, it costs you about 4 seconds or so. And more importantly, if you reset, even a quick reset costs a minimum of about 12 seconds or so, depending on... roughly, right? Roughly 12 seconds or so, even for a very quick reset, like losing to the first Pokemon. So that's really where the pain is, right? I didn't want to have a run where, and this was painful. Like, this mistake was so painful. And I'll get back to my previous point in a second, but using Body Slam there, like, it shouldn't even be on the set. David, why did you teach Body Slam? If I had used Dig instead, it would have gotten a 1-hit there. It's 15 more base power. Body Slam's a favorable range, and I was just getting greedy there, trying to be faster, and I was a lot slower because I was greedy. Being greedy, sometimes it's good, but not in this case. That was not worth the risk. Dig is so fast, too. It's a 2-turn move, but it's much faster than 2 turns because you skipped the move selection, and anyway. Terrible decision by me using Body Slam there. I got punished for it, and I had to use my full restore already, so hopefully that doesn't come back to bite me. I said I would get back to my previous point, and now I have to remember what my previous point was. Oh yeah, we have to dodge a lot of potential losses. The next potential loss, well, let's think about where the next major fights are. We don't care about the self-destructing hiker. We're going to knock that one out. The Oddish Last and stuff, not big of a deal. I'm actually using Dig like I'm supposed to here and getting 1 hits. So go figure, use the right move and good things will happen. I have routed this such that the problematic trainers will not be a problem. For instance, Erica could be a problem, but we're delaying Erica until later because we want to one-hit all the Pokemon with Ice Beam. So you could, of course, lose with a Gen 1 Miss, like Gen 1 Miss Ice Beam, but then you get put to sleep, that sort of thing. But that's very unlikely. You don't play around a Gen 1 Miss ever. The next failure point is probably Koga or Rival 5. Koga is scary because the Venonats know Sleep Powder. Sleep Powder is a Grass-type move, and with AI Modification 3, Koga is going to see that Grass is super effective against Water, and in this case, could do the most annoying thing, which is try to put me to sleep. And then once it's asleep, it will randomize between its other moves, like using Psychic or Double Edge or something against me. So that is one place that I could potentially lose, is if I don't get the one hits or the damage ranges that I need against Koga. Also, the Venomoth is a little bit scary. Sometimes it'll set up with Double Team. I'm not going to be able to one-hit the Venomoth, so there's always a chance that Double Team gets set up. It uses Toxic, you miss a bunch of times. You know, small percentage chance, but it is possible. Koga is one of the trainers that I thought the most about. And I actually remember, and I want to give a shout out to Austin. Austin helped me optimize this and come up with a solution that I ended up landing on for Koga, which is mimicking Psychic for better damage ranges. So that will be quite fun. We'll get to that a little later. Rival 5 is generally scary for almost every Pokemon. Water types tend to be able to handle Rival 5 quite a bit better than most, because you have super effective answer to the Sand Slash, and the Cloyster is going to be stuck using like Withdraw and Supersonic, those types of moves throughout most of the playthrough, and then even Spike Cannon later on. So Cloyster is rarely a problem for water types, especially at Rival 5. Not a problem at all. So water types tend to do pretty well. That said, he's still a scary trainer. The Kadabra is quite fast and going to outspeed. It could hit a 10% confusion chance if it uses confusion. There are things that could go wrong, but in general, we're only going to be taking pretty heavily favored fights throughout the playthrough. You might find it interesting that I'm using 2 proteins here. Once again, you might think of Blastoise as a special attacker. It seems like it should be a special attacker. It's a water type. I don't know if you played the trading card game, but like as a kid, I would always play that. And then recently I played a little bit too. He's got these big blast cannons. He's always using like water moves instead of things like, you don't have to see Skull Bash written on the cards, right? You see water type moves and you think, oh, he's big time special attacker, lots of damage with water moves. Not really. He's a balanced attacker. And in this case, the ground coverage with Dig tends to be quite a bit stronger than the water coverage, at least throughout much of the mid game, and even against like Agatha. Ground covers so many weaknesses. It's like crazy good in Gen 1 how good of an offensive typing ground is. I think Ice and Ground are probably the best offensive typings. Okay, and I mentioned Agatha. Similarly, Agatha Jr. and these little Chandlers could be a problem, could really annoy you. It would be 2 hits with Ice Beam or Bubble Beam, but these are 1 hits with Dig, and that's quite nice. Thankfully, we do outspeed them as well. Some slow Pokemon have a hard time trying to outspeed those Ghastlies, but we're nowhere near that slow. We're much faster than the Ghastlies are. Jesse and James are not going to be a problem at the end of this tower, by the way. And we'll have a choice on where we want to route next. Sometimes you want to go to Sylph to do some training in Sylph, fight Rival 5 immediately. Other times it makes more sense to go down the biker path, train on some of the bikers. And by the way, I didn't mention, but I skipped the hideout in this playthrough. We will not be going to the hideout. I used the skip right there you saw with the Pokédoll, and there's a rare candy in there that Blastoise does not need. We're going to be skipping a couple rare candies. We're also skipping the candy in Victory Road, which you have to go slightly off the beaten path and use strength to get. It's not worth it for Pokemon that train really well, and Blastoise does train really well. So I'm actually going to fight one of the bikers on Biker Path on the way down to Koga's area. And one of the benefits of that is that they have extremely high experience yields. And it actually, I think, what does Scott call it? The Biker Boss? I think the Biker Boss gives more experience, or just enough experience to basically be a rare candy. And that is so good that it's actually faster to knock out those 5 Pokemon with 1 hits than it is to pick up a rare candy that's out of the way. Here you saw me do something a little strange, which was first go to Saffron City and heal there to set my waypoint and then go back here. You might think that looks wrong, but actually I don't want to fight Erica next. I'm going to go get some optional training while I'm still at a low-ish level. Obviously, you want to use your training first, and I can't believe that. I almost forgot. Oh, this is such a painful moment. This is even worse than the SSN fight. I don't know. I lost my mind, and I pushed the button, and I just ran into this optional trainer, which doesn't do anything for me. I'm not going to change my experience riding on the fly in this case. I'm just going to keep doing everything as I was going to do it, and I'm going to have more experience than I needed. Those are painful. That doesn't help at all, that optional training. It just wastes time. So 10 seconds gone, or maybe 15, and we move on. Dig here is good against the coughing, and it's good against the wheezing. It's good against this whole poison line. I think that's a range against the wheezing, actually, and so the crit did help there, or at least potentially helped. It gave me a favorable range. I am going here before going to fight Fievel, by the way, because I want Surf. Typically, I would like to be level 37 or higher before going into this area for the Safari Zone, but some water types can't help it. If you're a water type and you want Surf as soon as possible, then you will have to go in at whatever level makes sense with the amount of training that you got, and just hope to get lucky with encounters and not hit too many encounters. I would like to not direct your attention to this because it's painful, but actually do watch. My routing is so bad through here. Pretty good so far. Got the Carbos. Every Carbos I can pick up, there are 3 available in the overworld. I'm going to pick all 3. They're valuable. And oh god, look at that. Back and forth, having a hard time finding. And then I run into the sign. And then, okay, I use the super repel, and then, okay, that was not that bad, but then the overworld movement here, and then I'm banging into everything, and then banging into that, and then I turned, and then I get into wild encounter. And at this point, I remember thinking, like, why am I so bad at this game? And no matter how good you get, I'm convinced you will have moments like that with this game, where it's hard to find a door. Like, playing at times 4 speed is hard. It really is hard. Sometimes it might look easy, but gosh, the muscle memory that you have to build up to navigate these areas is tricky. But I do get one encounter there. I ran it through more grass than I needed to, so that was probably part of the reason I got an encounter. But enough of that. We got Surf. We dug out. And you see that my waypoint is where I wanted it to be. That's kind of nice. And then you'll see that the routing works such that I'm going to be going to Blaine and then still keeping that rally point there and going there a second time. So that's kind of why I made that decision to, even though it looked silly, to run there, heal, and then fly back out. I think it was probably worth it to go ahead and reset that rally point. You'll notice I do pick up Earthquake. Earthquake is just 1-turn dig in this game, so I'm not in a hurry to teach it. It does save a little bit of time over dig, but in this case, it gives me some moveset flexibility, right? So I have a ground move for as long as I want it, and then if there's a point in time where I want to overwrite that ground move and teach something else in the place, I can. Or if I just want to hold on to it for overworld movement, then upgrade it later, say once I get to Giovanni, I can do that too. So we'll see what ends up happening with dig and Earthquake. It feels weird, by the way, not to say before going into the Rival 5 fight. Level 35, Surf is important because it gives me a 1-hit on the Sand Slash, even 3 levels below it. Here's where it gets a little interesting against the Cloyster. Now, I can't badge boost my special yet, unfortunately, but I found that it was more consistent to set up with 2 or 3 withdrawals anyway, because the chances of hitting myself in confusion are very high. That Cloyster is only going to spam Supersonic because of, once again, the good AI, and it doesn't want to use resisted like water or ice moves. So here I'm stalling out once or twice more with the withdrawals because I really want to be not confused when I go into the fight against Magneton. It may have looked like a waste of time there, but do remember I was badge boosting my attack stat. And that helped give me the 1-shot range on the Magneton, so that was very helpful. And just like that, with about half of our health left, or a little over half of our health yet left, we still got through Rival 5. So not too bad, even at level 35. That's a very impressive thing, by the way. Most Pokemon struggle mightily at Rival 5 at level 35. Many of them prefer to be level 40, and some, like Hitmonlee, wanted to be even higher than that if they could, but you take the risk at 40 sometimes. Some Pokemon, you don't even take the risk. You're like, all right, I need to be like level 45 or level 48 if you're playing a bad Pokemon to fight Rival 5. Blastoise, no such problems. Level 35. He's got the moveset that he needs. He's got the stats that he needs. He can kind of just power through the game. Very satisfying to play a Pokemon that's a literal tank like this and just not have problems. Giovanni, I don't think we really need to talk about much, although the last Giovanni fight is a little bit tricky. Funny enough, if you had to pick one fight in the whole playthrough that's most likely to give you your loss, Giovanni is one of the top picks. Not this Giovanni, but the last Giovanni. We've got nice health coming out of that one, so that's not too scary of a fight. However, the last Giovanni is scary. Both the Nidokings know Thunder. While Thunder is inaccurate, it's a very powerful move, and if it hits, it also has a chance to inflict paralysis. So that's quite scary. Also, the Doug Trio at the beginning can crit you a lot. It can hit you with Fissure because it outspeeds you. And the Persian can be a bit scary too with Slash. So Giovanni is a threat. He's a real threat. By the way, you notice that I dug out of there and I wanted to be there to go pick up Mimic. So that's quite nice too. So that's the second time I've used that rally point. There's a reason that I wanted to keep my rally point there. And now, you see I'm not quite at level 39 yet. Actually, I'm a little closer to level 39 than I should be because I ran into that optional trainer. But after beating this trainer here with a series of 1-hits on the 3 Pokemon, I should go to level 39. In this case, of course, I go a little over 39. And then I use a bunch of rare candies. We want to ensure that we get 1-hits. And then I don't need Skull Bash. Skull Bash is a garbage move. It's like Dig, but you're not invulnerable on turn 1. It's so bad. So this gives me 1 hits and makes Erica trivial. So this is almost a 0% chance to lose. It's like a Gen 1 miss. It's less than a 1% chance to lose. And then we need to go to Koga. Koga has 3 Venonats. Like I mentioned, 2 of them have Sleep Powder. The first one and the third one both have Sleep Powder. The second one does not. So the game plan here is to get to a high enough level, which I have with those rare candies that I just used, to ensure a 1 hit on the first Venonat, which is using Surf, but they get sequentially higher and higher levels. So it starts 44, then 46, then 48, and then of course the Venomoth is 50. So this is not the red and blue Koga. This is quite a scary Koga. But I'm at a high enough level now to 1-shot with Surf against the first one, and then I'm going to mimic Psychic to have enough to 1-hit the next 2 Venonats, and then 2-hit on the Venomoth. Now, unfortunately, I'm going to be at, after I level up here in just a moment. Let's wait for it. Oh my gosh, I didn't level up yet. I level up after the next fight. Okay, I'm skipping those Tamers, by the way. Those Tamers are really good experience, but I just don't need it. Like, I would love to get that experience because I have Dig super effective against Arbok. I have Surf super effective against Sandslash. It's very efficient training, but I just don't need it, so I may as well save the time. Okay, now you'll see my speed stat at the bottom left is 102. The Ace Venomoth has a speed stat of 103. I'm underspeeding it by 1. So at first when I was going through this, I was thinking, do I need to outspeed that Venomoth? Do I need to pick up another Carbos somehow, like buy one? Do I need to get to a higher level to outspeed it? And then I realized if I'm one-hitting all the Venonats, why? Look, don't overthink it. Look, I have 104 health left after getting through that fight. So it's not worth doing the extra training. Blastoise is just a tank. He's just going to tank that damage. He's going to eat it up. He's going to take the punishment. He's got to give me more. Give me more punishment. I like the punishment. Sorry, that got weird. Okay, so we're teaching strength on the Squirtle. Squirtle is a useful HM friend. It can learn Surf too in the event that you have a water type that doesn't want to learn Surf. But in this case, I think it's clear that Blastoise wants Surf. You could think, well, does it want Hydro Pump or something? Like, okay, no, it doesn't want Hydro Pump. Whenever you have a badge boosting move, that gives you the ranges that you need for the most part. So running a badge boosting move and something like Hydro Pump tends to not be the correct play. Some Pokemon like Lapras do want to use Hydro Pump because they don't have a badge boosting move. Surf doesn't do enough damage. They need that little extra something, and it's worth the 20% accuracy debuff. Excuse the skipping, by the way. I would love to re-record this, but I can't. I was capturing it on my screen, so what are you going to do? But strategically, it makes sense that you would want to go for one or the other, right? You either want that move that you can badge boost that's 100% accurate, or you want the move that gives you range, but you don't need setup for it. Going for both is a bit overkill. Blaine, by the way, is a bit scary. We have great physical defense, and we have good special, and we have a type advantage against Blaine, but Blaine in yellow is a monster. Like in red and blue, we wouldn't care about him at all. We could be at a much lower level, not care at all, just surf everything down, easy. 1 or 2 shot everything. This Blaine is scarier because the Ninetales knows Confuse Ray, so it can start to get it to hit ourselves. The Pokemon at our higher level, they hit quite hard. They have good special, so it's not easy to get 1-hits either. Like, we're not going to 1-hit the Arcanine unless we get a crit. I think the Ninetales is a range, but not a favorable one, or maybe we don't even get it. I think the Rapidash is a range, but we're just going to have to count on our ability to take some punishment here. And okay, we get the range on the Rapidash. Arcanine is a crit. So in this case, Blaine looked easy, but he is not a gimme even for a water type. What's next? Sabrina. Sabrina is another place where we've got maybe a 20% chance to lose. It's not likely, but it is possible. And every time we have a Mega Punch, it could miss, right? So this is maybe a 15 or 20% chance to lose, but no saving. We go right into it. Dig, thankfully, is going to 1-hit the Abra, and we have 119 speed, which is important because the opponent Kadabra is at 118 speed. So we just barely outspeed it. And now it all comes down to the Alakazam. Alakazam could mess us up, especially if it sets up Reflect and then starts recovering, stuff like that. You see I switched to Surf, and thankfully I got the crit. So I went ahead and ended that fight. But things can fall apart there. It is possible. Probably it's not quite a 20% chance to lose. It's probably lower than that. But whenever you get a chance to lose, it's a little nerve-wracking when you haven't saved ever. We would go back to the very beginning of the game if I hit reset on the console, the virtual console. Notice my speed is 122 now. That is quite good. But the Doug Trio has 133 speed, and Giovanni's Persian has 135 speed. The Persian can set up with double teams and slashes. The Doug Trio could fissure us, and the game could be over just like that. That is quite scary. If you see fissure pop up on the screen, that's a nightmare scenario, because that means there's a 30% chance that 29 minutes are wasted, that it's over. It's just over. Like, sure, you could take a blackout and go back to the Pokemon Center, but then you've wasted so much time that the run is dead anyway. This is like a pretty tight run. You'll notice that we're under 30 minutes and we're about to fight Giovanni soon. Strategically, I'm picking up Blizzard here. Blizzard gives me the one hits on the Nidos. Ice Beam is not enough. And wait, no. I surf the Nidos. Blizzard is for the Execute coming up. So let's be in the moment here. Fissure missed. I was so scared. I was so scared. And now I have to get a couple withdrawals up to get the damage range I need. And I got hit with a Screech, but okay, I got a crit there. And then now the Nidos should be easy. I have the badge boost I need. You need 2 badge boosts to one hit the Nidos. And then as long as I don't Gen 1 miss against the Rhydon, I'm faster naturally. And there we go. It goes down. So that was nerve-wracking. I don't know if you're going to be able to tell in my movement coming up or not, but that was definitely a nerve-wracking moment when that happened. Now, I remember that the Blizzard I taught was just because I had my inventory up. It's good to do things that, oh gosh, that's painful. I think I have a Repel that I should be using here too. I do. See, that's just a mistake. I meant to use the Repel first, and I didn't, and then I got a Mankey encounter. Okay, the Blizzard is for the Execute. This is one that you have a chance of losing, mostly if you miss Blizzard and then you get paralyzed. But in this case, no miss on the Blizzard, so we're good there. I'm going to set up on the Cloyster. We don't want to set up a ton. It's really only for this Cloyster and for the next Pokemon because I'm about to level up soon. But again, you see me wasting a turn or two because I just don't want to go into the Magneton while I'm paralyzed. And I can go ahead and use Earthquake there. I taught Earthquake at Giovanni because I don't want to accidentally dig out a Victory Road. There is very little that's more painful than being on a record pace and then digging out a Victory Road. And it's really easy to do it too by accident. If your cursor's in the wrong place and you're spamming your moves and you're trying to either set up a Repel or Surf, or not Surf, but Strength. If you're trying to Strength one of the boulders and then you accidentally have your cursor on the Blastoise instead of the Squirtle, they look the same after all in the little preview. If you do that, your run could die because you dug so far out and it's just a huge overall mistake. But I had a Giovanni split, let me mention, of 29 minutes and 47 seconds. Anything under 30 minutes for a Giovanni split is absolutely fantastic. And you see I get the chance to learn Hydro Pump at level 52. Obviously, I say no. Let me pull up the run summary from the mid-game on, and you can see where I planned my rare candy usage. After fighting Giovanni, I had planned on using the 3 rare candies to shore up the fight coming into Rival 6 and make it just a little easier and more consistent. However, I made a mistake and forgot to teach the candies right before the rival. So then, wait, I pick up the Victory Road candy. That's so funny. I thought that I had skipped that one. All right, I pick up the Victory Road candy. And I remember why I did it now that I'm looking at my routing again. Please forgive me. This run is a little hazier in my memory because this was back in June, and I'm doing the recording now in January of 2025. So it's been a little while since I did this run. Although I did refresh my memory looking back to the damage ranges through the router, that sort of thing. I wanted to make sure I could give good information, not just based on my memory, but also refreshing it a bit. So I meant, and I do remember this, I meant to use the rare candies before Rival 6, but I missed that, and then I overshot a little bit with my experience. Actually, it's more efficient, experience-wise, the candy afterwards than beforehand. But in this case, it doesn't matter because I was going to use rare candies afterwards to get back up to level 54 for Lorelei either way. So it ends up being kind of a wash. The reason it's a wash is because the Rival 6 fight at level 53 gives you almost exactly 1 level. So it's basically interchangeable to use the candy before or afterwards. In those cases, you may as well use it before because it's more efficient. Lorelei is a tricky fight. This is one that can lose, and this is probably one of the ones that you're most likely to lose of all of them. It is favored, but it's scary because in Yellow, there's a chance that Dugong uses resisted moves. If it uses Aurora Beam and drops your attack, you are in big trouble. If it uses Bubble Beam and drops your speed, you can still win, but it makes it a scary fight. So you see me setting up to +6. I do think it's good to get those badge boosts, but it is scary because things can go wrong while you're setting up to +6. That gives the Dugong lots of rolls for something bad to happen. But now that we have all these badge boosts set up, we're going to carry them through Lapras. We have a lot of physical defense, which most of our Pokemon are going to be using physical attacks against us. And we've badge boosted every other stat too. So we're faster than the Jinx, and we're going to 2-hit the Lapras. We can see that it hits a Body Slam, gets a crit, and that's just thankfully... It's good that Blastoise is a natural tank because a crit on that Body Slam is going to do a lot more damage than that to most Pokemon. Blastoise shrugs it off and he keeps on trucking. And let's go ahead and heal. This is a little bit slow. I have to say I'm not that impressed by my inventory management from 6-7 months ago. It could be a bit cleaner. I think that I could probably, as good as this run is, and you see that I'm on a great pace, 34 minutes and something at Bruno. It's a really good pace. It could be faster. It could be at least 30 seconds faster than this, maybe a full minute faster than this. One hit everything, two hit the Machamp, easy peasy. Even if it had crit me with submission, it wouldn't have had a chance to beat me. We're on to Agatha. Agatha, you might think would be scary. For a lot of Pokemon, it is a place that you can lose. There's a lot of randomness. In this case, we're not too scared. There is a chance we can lose, like if we get put to sleep or something, but we're going to be one-hitting all of our Pokemon, and we're outspeeding everything with just one badge boost. So that's the caveat, and you can see that like I'm here, like I'm actually boosting my defense on purpose now. I was using withdrawals actually for the defense because I was worried about hitting myself, and I didn't want to fight the Haunter while I was still confused. So I actually burned a little bit of time there on purpose against the Golbat, because the Golbat in general is not very scary. And now we're plenty fast. We can outspeed everything, including the final Gengar, knock her out, and we're off to Lance. This is where I should use a rare candy. We'll see if I actually do or not. But the advantage to using a rare candy here is that you carry your badge boost through, and I do it. That's good. Good job, me. Good job, past me. You carry your badge boost through the Cloyster and level up into the Flareon at the champion team if you use the rare candy here, as opposed to if I had used it at Lorelei earlier. So doing this, we squeeze out just a little extra experience optimization from it. And this is scary, down to 68 health. You see that I was surfing down the Gyarados. Unfortunately, there's not a great way to take on Lance, and I'm down to 2 Blizzards. Only 1 Blizzard left for the Dragonite. I'm going to take a hit against the Aerodactyl. Hyper Beam down to 26 health. If it had crit me there, it was over. Now I have to hit this Blizzard, and I almost glossed over it, but this was the most dangerous fight of the run. I almost lost it 35 minutes in. I almost lost the 0 reset. And the moment here was relief, but then it's not over. It could fall apart at the champion. I need to set up some badge boosts to get a one hit on the Alakazam. Meanwhile, if this Sandslash keeps critting me, it could kill me. So it is scary. There's no good place to do it, but you really want to one hit the Alakazam, or it can do things to you, like drop your special, like drop your accuracy. 92 health, is it enough? I think it should be enough. Using Earthquake on the Alakazam, what's going to happen next? I need to set up 3 more withdrawals. So I did need some health to play with here. It's only going to spam Leech Seed, but this does do damage to me. I need +6. I need +6 in order to 2-hit the Cloyster. I don't want to give it a ton of time to knock me out, and I need to 1-hit the Magneton. Very, very important to 1-hit the Magneton. Need +6 to reliably get the 1-shot there and the 2-shot on the Cloyster. If it crits with Spike Cannon, it can get you. And if the Flareon crits you with Quick Attack at the end, it could get you. So this is scary. We got a 60% damage roll with Earthquake. Can we hit the 60% roll? And we got it. That's it. 36 minutes, 37 seconds. We are through. We did it with 0 resets, 0 saves. So not only did we save all the time from having 0 resets, we saved about 4 seconds every time that we would have set up, like to just save in case we had to take a reset. We save all that time. In my next run, I'm going to explore using a fully evolved Grass Poison type with access to Sword Stance. Like Blastoise, it's got the medium slow growth rate, but it has significantly worse primary typing and coverage options. This Pokemon also has lower speed and overall base stat total. So in the next episode, I'm speedrunning Vileplume in Pokemon Yellow. Let's see how hard Sword Stance can carry it.